Hello everyone, my name is Martin Davis, and I'm the author of Are We There Yet? The Ultimate Challenge. Thank you for stopping by and showing interest in my work. I have to admit that when I started writing this book, it was out of frustration and anger. I was totally fed up with the amount of murders happening in the inner cities of Chicago. Every time I turned on the news, I heard about innocent children, as little as 6 months old, being killed by random gunfire. Innocent people with no gang affiliation whatsoever were being slaughtered for no apparent reason on the streets. Over a warm spring or summer weekend, in certain areas of Chicago, we could easily anticipate 30 to 40 shootings, as many as half a dozen to a dozen deaths. It got to a point where it was predictable, and we were almost desensitized to it. Then eventually, the book became a necessity for me to write, out of the love for my people. It was something that had to be said, something that had to be done. And no matter what the backlash would be, I was ready to accept the consequences. I felt it was my obligation to at least try and change the mindset of our people in our communities. I was tired of us having the highest unemployment rates, the highest incarceration rates, the highest murder per capita rates, highest dropout rates. Yet, we had the lowest voter turnout, the lowest graduation rates, the lowest in entrepreneurship, and simply the lowest in producers in commerce of any other ethnic group in America. And that bothered me. Now, what makes my book so different from other books on the market is that I don't just focus and complain about the plight and the problems of the black man or the black woman. I give specific recommendations and challenges for us to incorporate and follow. I provide a blueprint and a set of guidelines that if we as people of color collectively embrace and commit to, we will ultimately change our social status in America and throughout the world. It will take us practicing group economics, being fully engaged in the political process, valuing and demanding better education for our children, more entrepreneurship within our communities, and learning our true history, heritage, and culture so we feel better about ourselves as a people. That ultimately we will start interacting with one another with a certain level of trust, respect, and dignity. And this is what our communities are missing today. My book, Are We There Yet? It removes all the excuses. It takes them right off the table because it calls for accountability, responsibility, ownership of our families, our households, and our communities. It provides a viable answer and a protocol to follow. As far as I'm concerned, we cannot police our way out of this situation. And there is no amount of legislation that can rectify all of the issues faced by people of color in our communities. Only we can solve these issues and challenges that we face. No one else can do this for us. It's going to take a grassroots movement, a change in mindset, a shift in priorities, and revitalization within our communities to accomplish these goals. But the only thing stopping us from meeting these challenges and achieving our goals is ourselves. We don't need anyone else's permission, approval, or assistance to make these changes and get this job done. Remember, no one can help the black man until he decides to help himself. Malcolm X Shabazz said that back in the 1960s. Now, many people who have read my book, they don't even call it a book anymore. They call it a movement. I didn't quite understand why at first, but they simply took quotes from many of my mentoring events. And I always stated, a movement starts with one person, one day, starting with one step forward. Now, I was ready to take that first step. Are you ready to take that first step? Thanks again for considering my book, Are We There Yet? The Ultimate Challenge. This could be your first step in the movement. So please read it, embrace it, share it, and live it. Take the challenge with me. Thank you.